Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, it's been an absolutely wild week. A meta-defining card has come out in Elsa Bloodstone, so let's dive right into that discussion. Elsa Bloodstone has had an immense impact on the meta, so I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on Elsa thus far this season. It's only been a week, but we're seeing it impact the meta on Marvel Snap on a far greater level than perhaps people might have originally given it credit for.
Yeah, I mean, I love to see season pass cards that target an archetype, but even more so, for like the sake of Snap, I love these diverse ones, right? Like, obviously, this was a bit more love to Bounce, to Kitty Pryde, to Zoo, but it's like kind of spread out really well. I mean, heck, I even just named a couple of archetypes right there, and you're able to play her in a wide variety of decks. She feels fun to play. She doesn't feel overpowered by any means. She's draw dependent, but not nearly as bad as Zabu. I think we both alluded to that. And I think we were pretty spot on last week. I think Elsa is definitely a card that feels great. Probably the best or top 2 in the season, which is probably how it should be. I think the thing I'm most sad about is I looked at future spotlights coming out. She's not in one. She's not coming out in December for people. And I'm like, God, because I love her and I think she works on a lot of decks. How about yourself?
Yeah, that was something we discussed, I think, with the idea of like having these cards come out sooner than later in the spotlight caches to kind of raise the profile of the spotlight caches. Because we do have Loki coming, right? Loki's coming, which is awesome. And I hope they kind of continue and maybe even tighten up that timeline a little bit for free-to-play players. I think that makes a lot of sense. I've loved Elsa. I've loved Elsa. Now, I like Loki. I like the playstyle of Loki, but I think I like Elsa better because it feels like it's much more slottable into more decks. Loki decks felt like Loki decks, and there were some experimentation with different styles of Loki deck, but it was a Loki deck. But what I will say is that Elsa has so much applicable kind of qualities to various archetypes, which has made this meta feel a little more refreshing. The cards that people are upset about are not necessarily Elsa Bloodstone. It's the usual suspects of like, Eliath and others, but people I think are pretty positive with Elsa. They're not like, it's not like, damn it, this Loki crap is pissing me off. I'm not seeing that with Elsa. I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm definitely not.
No, not at all. And I think that she has like the obvious decks that she's working in, but with that, right, it's the tale as old as time. There are decks like Black Panther and Ramp decks, but then you're not going to get the most cubes because it's obvious what you're doing. So with Elsa, everybody's expecting bounce, and so they're kind of targeting that with Shadow King, whatever. Elsa can work in much more than just that, which is why I think people like her, because they're plugging her in the decks that they like to play. So I want to talk about the better decks, but like, Alex, I want to ask you before we get there, what's the spiciest Elsa deck that you have?
Mine is Blood Flood. Like, I really like Blood Flood because like it's, I'll throw it up on the screen here. Basically what it does is it utilizes these cards I've not been seeing much play, specifically Dazzler and others, that basically give you this opportunity to just have these miracle turn 6 plays where all of a sudden your board is worth so much, especially with Mysterio. I think that the thing about it that is really cool about Elsa specifically is it's not like Zabo, as we alluded to earlier, where you have to draw it on 2. Elsa can be drawn and played on turn 5 in anticipation of your turn 6, where you're going to fill all those locations. I love playing Elsa in a way where like I'm considering the macro side of the game. I'm going 3 in this lane, 3 in this lane, 3 in this lane, 4 here, but I can move the Nightcrawler here to make it 3 for the Mysterio. And like, I love that. I feel like Elsa has been very mentally engaging, and these Zeus style lists are a lot of fun, and I've been thoroughly enjoying them.
Yeah, so Double Up, I'm going to talk about later in today's episode, but I have a lot to say about that and how Elsa works. I think it's in such a great place at the moment. I'm going to talk about a deck that I have a guide coming out for, and Alex, obviously you're going to love it because it's all about what you love to play. Silver Surfer. So I think Elsa has fit perfectly in a Surfer build. I'll tell you why. First of all, it's a mix of Patriot Surfer, which everybody is doing the Patriot Iron Lad. I'm not doing that. It's not a Patriot Surfer deck like you've seen kind of time and time again. What this is going to be focusing on is playing cards, obviously like Mysterio, that Patriot can boost up. Patriot's a 3-cost in himself. We know Brood is going to be in a Surfer deck, and he's clearly also going to be working with Surfer. But then on top of that, you have cards like Dazzler, what are going to benefit off filled lanes. Elsa is going to be benefiting off these cards that are filling these lanes, and all of a sudden, you have these 2 2-cost cards in Elsa and Mysterio that feel fantastic. But the cherry on top, and I actually played this deck against Binks on his stream, and I love it. I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite Surfer decks because it's different, and it took a while to homebrew it too. I've got Nova and Killmonger. Now, obviously, the Killmonger is because it's perfect to counter what's out there. High Evo and bounce decks. Kill them. Get rid of them. And this deck doesn't scale too fast either because of the Mysterios. So oftentimes, you could be under the priority of a Kitty Pryde deck, and they play Kitty and you can kill it. But on top of that, you have Nova Alex that is feeding your Mysterios illusion. So you're not dependent on Patriot. You're not dependent on Surfer. Brood, Mysterio have the Nova kickoff too, and you have the Elsa. It is my favorite homebrew in a while because it just feels different and it all kind of works together. And then lastly in the homebrew, of course, I've got Jean Grey in there. I've got Rogue. Both feel great. Mobius could be in this because we are running Sarah. All right. But Rogue's in there because you just simply can take what is going to counter you. And then the last piece here to kind of finish some of it off. You got the Spider-Man to get the Elsa bonus. And you have Dawkin. Now, Dawkin is in here and is probably the weirdest pick. We've got Dawkin for 2 reasons. I'm going on a rant, but I didn't do my deck guide yet. I'm excited to spit it. We've got Dawkin to not only fill up a lane easily, we can use this shard to help out our Elsa, but on top of that, we also now have Dawkin to get boosted up by the Surfer and the Killmonger play. It all adds up together for an easy play. Dude, I can't wait for you to try this deck.
It sounds incredible. It sounds incredible. And it sounds like you're stacking so many tech cards that don't usually see play at the 3 slot. Like it's tech card after tech card after tech card, while also throwing up some serious power. So, and listen, I've always been a believer in the Killmonger Nova package in Silver. It's been one of the ones where I legitimately start with. I'm like, it feels too good to also have tech while buffing up your board state with the Broods and the the Mysterios and whatnot. So I love the list. I mean, you don't have to sell me on a Surfer list. I'll play any Surfer list. I just love the archetype. So I'm excited to give it a shot. I'm looking forward to that guide, Cozy.
I wanted to do something different, man. I feel like Surfer's been the same, right? For a while. He's been the same. This combines Elsa. It's a little greedy, but it definitely is the approach that I went to counter Elsa as well. What are you running into the most for Elsa? Like, what decks are you running into that have her?
I feel like the one that I'm seeing the most right now is Lud Glenny Stone, which was like the Glenn kind of Jane Foster based list with the Yellow Jacket and the Wasp. And for what it's worth, it made Hitmonkey feel relevant again. And I had this thought. It's so crazy because we were just recently talking about buffs and nerfs, but it's like interesting how like you don't have to change a card. You just have to add a card to the game that synergizes with that card. Like Hitmonkey felt dead in the water for the last couple months. Impossible to even recommend in the spotlight caches it was in. And then now you're in a situation where you get Elsa Bloodstone coming out. You have a great deck that utilizes Wasp, Yellow Jacket, Hitmonkey, Mysterio, and suddenly Hitmonkey makes sense because Kitty Pryde's in that deck too. So you have Kitty Pryde as a 1 cost, 2, 3, and all of a sudden your turn 6 is this like massive drop of power, which is supposed to be countered by the likes of Sandman and the leeches of the world. But until you came out with your guide, we weren't seeing much Sandman. So you were able to do these crazy kind of combinations and just generate insane power. That's been probably the one I've been seeing a lot of. Yeah. And rightfully so. I think it's a fun deck.
So the Sandman list was created because of that. I was tired of seeing like the amount of like last turn Yellow Jacket, Wasp, Hitmonkey plays. I was done with it. To punish, they play a Jane. You could play your Sandman. All of a sudden, to play the Mjolnir, they've got to fully commit. And that deck spread like wildfire. I didn't make a video on it. And I actually wanted to say this. This is a great testament to not all decks have to be for you. This is a great deck. I just didn't like the deck. I didn't like how the deck played. I hated how I got, Jacket and Wasp. I'm just sitting there. Like, I'm skipping my 3rd turn in a row because it's an explosive deck. It's definitely an explosive deck. And it just didn't fit like my particular playstyle. But it is everywhere. That deck, I mean, it did spread like wildfire, rightfully so. And again, it's like why I was like, all right, I'm turning to Sandman. But yes, definitely strong. I think balance decks we've seen with Falcon, the Sarah decks, those are the more common Elsa Bloodstone decks that we've seen. And Shuri with Elsa Bloodstone has been a thing too, yeah?
Yeah, you're seeing Shuri. You're seeing it everywhere. And I think the Shuri list you're seeing is that Hulkbuster base list, because Hulkbuster will get the buff and then give you the additional space to play with Elsa Bloodstone. What a great synergy that is. Like, that's worth noting here. This has been one of the cards that has really put into the headlights that like the mechanics, the fundamental mechanics of Marvel Snap need like a full look over. Like we kind of discussed Shauna before about how Shauna doesn't like you just change that to like a play a one drop in each lane and stuff like that. Like those type of inconsistencies have really revealed themselves with Elsa Bloodstone.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of those things like next patch or the next patch from that or whatever, within the next month or two, they really have to go through the text, the effects, and make them more consistent. Because with Elsa, we had some synergies that weren't working like you would have thought they would have, right? Like Shauna, like we discussed. But other times, it's like, who really would have thought that Hulkbuster was going to work that way? And it does, and it's perfect. Actually, I think you actually mentioned it on the Snapchat now that I think about it. So maybe Cozy knew, damn it. But ultimately, I think that the mechanics of this card are really complex. However, I have something negative I want to say about Elsa. Something I really hate about it. It's the only thing I hate, Cozy. And I want your opinion on it. Tell me if I'm wrong. This stems from what happened to Collector. Hear me out. Collector took a stray for Loki. Collector's not played in any deck other than Loki now. I'm concerned that Kitty Pryde took a stray for Elsa. Whereas, like, to some degree, because of its synergy being so incredibly, I don't want to say obvious, but powerful, they had to tone Kitty Pryde back to the point where Kitty Pryde feels much worse everywhere else except for Elsa Bloodstone. I don't like that this is happening. I don't like the fact that these cards are really notable cards are being turned into these like one-trick ponies because of over effective combinations with newly released season pass cards.
I totally get what you're saying. I mean, I think Angela and her are pretty stupid together. You know, regardless, like they're just a good 1-2 punch. I think like her exclusivity in a deck, like the Taskmaster Kitty Pryde deck, right? Like that is now dependent. Elsa is so plug and playable that like if you're gonna play Kitty, play her. If you're gonna play Bishop, play Mysterio. Like those kind of things that just kind of like go together as these combos. What it is, man, is I feel like Kitty's just too good. Like she always has been so good. You know what I mean? Like in a world like this is what pissed me off about the balance patch. Like I don't know why we can't have a 1-2 Watu with his new ability when we have Kitty Pryde. Why is Kitty Pryde is so ridiculous for a 1-cost drop? It does take away, and cards are taking like unnecessarily hits. We saw that more ever than with Loki. But like if you looked at all the 1-cost cards, I feel like, you know, you play those with certain decks like Nebula, and you should play Kitty Pryde with certain decks, and they shouldn't just be this like you just play her everywhere kind of thing. And she works with Angela, and she works with Elsa. So I don't know. I get what you mean. I totally understand, but I think I don't mind where Kitty is at the moment personally.
Okay, so you're saying that the narrowing of Kitty Pryde might actually be a net benefit because it's being played in less decks where it felt like an auto-include where it probably didn't have to be. Yeah. I can respect that. I see that. That's a good perspective as well because, like, yes, it really works here, but maybe it's not going to work as well in that Shuri shell. But again, the Shuri shell just runs Elsa Bloodstone, so what are we talking about?
Yeah.
I hear you. And, like, talking about Uatu, this is just therapy now. Uatu. I like one of my favorite cards in the game that's always been horrible. Do you know how depressing it was for me to see that patch note? And I recognize that it's probably actually a little better than it was before. But doesn't he literally say "I see all" when he gets played? And now, like, or when they locate, now it's like "I see right." Like, what? He's supposed to see all. Just show all. Why couldn't it be 1-2 if you're just going to show the right location? I was so upset, Cozy, when you said it. My blood started boiling. I had to just bring it up.
And Glenn we trust, but on that one, I just was like, I don't know. I like, again, in a world where like some of these 1-drops exist, we can't have a 1. God forbid we've got the 1-2 Watu, you know. I do understand that one to the fullest degree. I also wanted to finish on, sadly in this game, there's so much variance that someone's getting screwed over. My heart goes out to those people. Like we had the Kitty Pryde pack, people got it, and I understand. Like Kitty Pryde needed to be nerfed. It is on second dinner to get together and talk and say, hey, I think we're playing a nerf, and then you can release that after the nerf and then have people decide. Or people that invested into Kitty Pryde in their decks, and now they're kind of forced to play Elsa, but maybe they unlocked Kitty Pryde naturally, and then they don't want to buy Elsa. So, like, I feel for those people. I do want to say that, because that does suck, and they need to... I really hope second dinner... man, there's so many freaking teams that work together, so it's very hard. But I feel like just like you know what bundles are coming out. We know what bundles are coming out, so just take a look at that and maybe do some forward planning. It's tough. I know, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I know Glenn, like, he's not diabolically doing these things. I think he's doing his thing, marketing's doing their thing, bundles do, but I think that some of this can go together, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense. We've seen this multiple times, like when Darkhawk didn't get dropped in series, but was in a package immediately after, right? That was like the 3 times value nonsense. That, like, dude, you're right. Like, it's 100%. Like, the optics of it are not good, and it sucks. I mean, I bought that burglary bundle or whatever it was, and it's like, oh, great, now just Kitty Pryde got destroyed. But then like Elsa comes out. It's all relative. There's always the greater plan, right? Like they can look ahead in a way that we can't, but at the same time, it's like if they can look ahead in a way that we can't, then why are these bundles and the nerfs happening the way they are? Like, why can't we just switch it?
Yeah.
Like maybe there's again, game dev is hard. I ain't no game dev, right? But like we can see them making forward-facing decisions, like with the Elsa Bloodstone nerf, no, sorry, the Kitty nerf in anticipation of Elsa. Why can't we do that with the bundles? Dude, I agree with you 100%. Like I that's not a hot take. You're right. You nailed it.
So in the vein of like the Kitty Pryde taking a stray, like I'm pro, like she deserved it, but I do want to, I wanted to kind of say that aspect. But yeah, Bloodstone, good card, man. Like her. I think she has even more fun decks ahead of her, and she plays well in a lot of decks.
Absolutely. And I think this is going to be a good transition to talking about our top 10 win rate cards of Marvel Snap right now. Elsa, not in there, not on the list, which is pretty interesting. It's actually running about a 58% win rate.
Okay.
Now, these are untapped base stats, so that's just one notable point there. What I will say is that right now, a couple things about win rate. Bots have a factor in there during this point of the laddering season. So I tried to mitigate that a little bit with as much extra data points as I could. But what we're going to talk about here are the cards that have the highest win rates on aggregate. The first card we're going to talk about here is going to be the 10th card. We're going in reverse order here, Cozy, as we usually do. Number 10 is the relatively recently buffed Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is running a 59.9% win rate, but that's not what is so shocking. Of all the cards on this list, it has the highest meta share of the top 10 cards. It went from being almost completely irrelevant when the Doom bots got nerfed to a 4 cost. Now, Cozy, it's running a 19.4% meta share. It is literally everywhere. It's one of those cards that, as it traditionally had been, almost every deck just got better when you slammed Doom in it. If the one nerf on the bots was too much and destroyed it out of the meta, I'm not sure what you do now. Maybe Doctor Doom's just a Marvel Snap staple.
Yeah, I think he's like, people deem it the perfect card, right? So I think he kind of just fits that. And like when he is at this level, you know, you do assume Doom in these decks. Like he's one of those, like on turn 6, it's like, oh, damn, I lose to Doom. And then you retreat, right? Like there's times where maybe if you're aggressive snapping and you still lose to Doom, like he kind of, you know, that's the life of aggressive snapping, I guess. But he's assumed to be there because of his play rate. You know, he does, his effect, when they nerfed him and brought him back, we knew he was going to go right back to where he was, and you know, rightfully so. I like Doctor Doom in this world.
In Lockdown, a card that really works well to mitigate Doctor Doom, obviously Professor X does, but I think one that's slept on is Nebula, because Nebula will proc its +2 behind like stormed location. So you're only you're only gapping 3 because like the Nebula is going to go up by 2 and the bot's going to come on over. That's something worth considering as well. But I do like Doctor Doom. It's one of my favorite cards in the game. I absolutely love it. So it doesn't surprise me that it is still extremely meta relevant. At number 9. We're now into the 60%, which is kind of wild, but that's exactly where we are. There's some cards that just incredibly perform, and this is Taskmaster. 60.1% win rate at a 9.8% meta share. Now, the meta share is pretty damn high. It's one of the higher ones of the list in general, obviously under Doctor Doom's incredibly high one, but Taskmaster is seeing a lot of play right now, and what really fascinates me about Taskmaster is it's no longer just a Shuri card. It's being played in a couple of different, actually, there's still kind of a Shuri card. There's just a number of different shells that Taskmaster is being played in. And I like it. I feel like Taskmaster feels like a pretty damn fair card. So I don't mind it being number 9.
I've always loved Taskmaster, the way he plays. He makes like a deck different, and your opponent won't always expect it, right? Like Deadpool Taskmaster feels great. I've just been putting him and Vision and Elsa together as a package. Just having Vision that gets an extra little boost and go to an 11 power card, and then you have Taskmaster to follow that, and you could get a 1-drop that's probably Kitty Pryde or whatever. Just feels good. It's a fun card to play. I really much enjoy him as a play style with like the proper amount of risk and reward.
Absolutely. And the thing about Taskmaster as well that's easy to forget is it did see a bit of a nerf when the Shang-Chi change was applied, where if the card that gets taskmastered, I guess, gets destroyed, then the Taskmaster effect doesn't actually proc, right? So that was a change that happened. It impacted Mystique, it impacted Taskmaster. So now number 8, and this is going to start a bit of a pattern here in terms of what the highest win rate cards are. And this fascinates me because these are a lot of cards that people don't complain about. But statistically, number 8 at a 60.3% win rate at 5.3% of the meta, we've got Zero. Can you believe that Zero is currently the 8th highest win rate card in Marvel Snap? And yet I don't see anybody complaining about Zero. And while I think this is indicative of how strong the Shuri shell is, Zero just puts up serious points because of its ability to interact positively in not only just that shell, but just general value-based decks.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably expect the pattern here. If we looked at Loki's season, whenever I posted the top 10 cards on Twitter, I think Agent Coulson was a top 10 win rate card, and it's like, wonder why, right? It's because he's boosting up collectors, helping out Loki, and he's in that deck that everybody's playing. And right now, Shuri's, the Shuri deck is the hot hand, right? The cool thing about him too is just simply playing him, obviously with Lizard or the number of cards you can play him in, but also if you don't draw correctly and just playing him with Red Skull on 6 is such a unrespected play line. It's so good. It fills out multiple locations, and then I mean, throw in a little Elsa. Like, I loved Elsa in that deck because she doesn't have an ongoing effect. It feels perfect, right?
Yes, and what's interesting about this is that when I was looking at the top 10 list as I was formulating it, I was like, we're starting off with a couple of these Shuri cards. But then what was interesting is that, spoiler alert, Shuri, not in the top 10. Shuri's not in the top 10. That might surprise you.
Yes,
it's interesting to think that the
yeah.
linchpin card of the archetype's not in the top 10, but the cards that get supported by it get elevated. So that's an interesting point of conversation. But number 7 is a card that's not a part of Shuri. I don't think it's ever been played as a part of a Shuri deck at all, but it is one of the most evergreen cards in Marvel Snap. One of the absolute favorites. Cozy, I know a smile is going to come on your face in a moment. Patriot at number 7, a 60.5% win rate, 5.4% of the meta. I'm going to let you take this one.
You don't play Patriot Shuri decks, Alex? No. In your Ultron builds? Yeah, it's cool, man. I mean, if you were a Patriot player since day 1 of Snap, then you've been doing good since day 1 of Snap. And now, really, tenfold the Iron Lad. I think the thing that kind of sucks is outside of the Surfer deck that I was kind of mentioning, is kind of like Bishop needs Mysterio, who wants Hitmonkey, whatever. Patriot, his web now is like 10 cards. That you almost feel like you're not running an optimal Patriot deck without him. But I believe it. I totally believe that this card is going to remain as one of the top win rate cards in the game. And, interesting, Brood's top cube. You got him as a top winner, and not shocked here. And that was number 6?
That was number 7. And notably is that there's only one bona fide Patriot card that's above it. And so it's the opposite of Shuri, where Shuri seems to lift everyone else. Patriot's like, no, you all stay down there. I'm the king, right? It's kind of interesting how that works. But number 6 is a card that, honestly, I was super surprised to see this high, but it makes perfect sense. Spider-Man. The newly redesigned Spider-Man comes in at 6, Cozy. A 60.5% win rate, and honestly, a 10.4% share of the meta. It's what? That's a lot. That was way higher win rate than I expected, and a way higher meta share than I expected too. Probably because of the Silky Smooth style list, but also, it also works really well with Elsa Bloodstone. This is a card that loves Elsa Bloodstone too. So Spider-Man, the rework has paid dividends.
They perfectly nailed the redesign of this card. I mean, seriously, they made him fun to play. It's Spider-Man. He works with the move package, like you said. I feel like I don't see him all that much. Obviously, he's in that package, and he does work with Elsa. So he is the shock to me that's on the win rate side of things. Especially because when he first came out, I remember people were like, oh no, he comes with the con of not knowing where he's going to go. It's who cares? He does what he does well. And the guy disrupts. You could consider putting him in a toxic build, for Pete's sakes, because of what he does for disruption. So that's insane.
Absolutely. Yeah, he pulls something into another location, might mess up their play. Absolutely. And I like that. If you pull the Angela away from everything they're kind of zooing into, or you pull Angela into a location with 3 cards already or whatever, or into a flooded location or a Sanctorum or whatever, and the Angela's just sitting there hey, I can't do anything. 100%. There's a lot of tech elements to Spider-Man, which I really like. And Actually, on that note, it does mess up some Bloodstone type plays because like it might pull like it messes up Ant-Man. Ant-Man's making a lot of the Bloodstone based lists, and now all of a sudden there's not 4 cards there, right? And if it's turn 6, then like what are you gonna do? So moving on, number 5. Now this is just a flex on my part because this is a card I know you already know which one I'm going to talk about. It's the Patriot one. It's the only Patriot card that was higher. The card that I've added to my top 10 on occasion because of these immense, amazing stats. Cozy's already bringing it up. It's Ultron, the king of robots. Ultron comes in at number 5, 60.6% win rate, but only just slightly less than a percentage of the meta. Ultron, from a meta perspective, has fallen off, but its win rate is incredible. I think this is because in Patriot, like you have these other Patriot lists that are becoming so common. The Patriot Absorbing Man Brood style list, the Lad Sinister stuff. Straight up Ultron, it's not seeing play. And in advance of this recording, I was playing some Patriot Ultron, and like I don't think people were respecting me dropping Ultron on turn 6, which I'm like, how do you not see me playing Ultron here? Like, is it fallen out of grace so much that Ultron's slowly turning back into a surprise card? That can't be possible, right?
Yeah, one of the first decks outside of, I think it was the day after Elsa came out, is I whipped together good old surprise Ultron yet again. Why not, right? Like you're having, like it all stemmed from Dazzler for me. I'm like, if I'm playing Dazzler, I'm going to play Ultron. Like, why not? Just get that immediate boost. And now you're playing what, up to an 11 power Ultron if you play the cards right. Love it, dude. I think he's definitely it sums up his card so perfectly. Low play rate, high win rate. That's how we want Ultron to be.
Yeah. Would you put him in your top 10?
Cards in the game? No. I love him, but no.
I'm never gonna live that down, eh? I mean, it's just funny. Listen, I like Ultron. I've always been an Ultron believer. Number 4, we break away from Patriot. We go to the genre-defining cards. And this is one that I know frustrates people, but this is High Evolutionary. High Evolutionary, which is kind of fascinating because you don't play High Evolutionary and High Evolutionary. It's like the card you don't want to play. But High Evolutionary, a 61% win rate, 10.8% of the meta. 10.8% of the meta is high for this. It's high. High Evo, I think, is a very polarizing deck. I think the anger towards Goliath and some other cards are kind of taking a little bit of heat off High Evolutionary, but it's still an amazing deck. It still performs incredibly consistent across ladder and conquest. The stats don't lie. It's the 4th highest.
So are these stats based off in deck, not when played?
This is in deck, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad. Like, there's cards that people just want to hate because they hate, and it's High Evo. Like, I think he's in a fine place. The Goliath is causing some hate towards the High Evo way because it just works in the lockdown version of things, right? But yeah, dude, single-handedly, Hulk alone is just such a menace. He's so ridiculous, which I love. Love having a big Hulk, you know. But High Evo is that kind of staple. I feel like he's good for the game in the sense of, like, for those that don't want to, like, try hard and learn these intricacies, he's a deck that takes some skill, and you learn how to play it, and then you've got yourself an archetype that you can play.
I think it's fun to play.
I
really like.
Yeah.
I've always liked High Evolutionary, and I'm just glad we told everyone, hey, save up your tokens. This card's gonna change everything, and sure enough, changed everything.
In legit sense, yeah.
Yeah, I was so excited. Then like 2 hours later, everyone was so pissed off. But
Shadow King works, by the way, against Hulk. I want to get that out there. He's a great way to just tame the Hulk. You know, maybe you won't get him out of the Hulk smash, but you can tame him, and that's a massive power swing for 2 costs. I don't know if people remember they got rid of the ongoing effects, or just something to throw out there.
I've forgotten at times that the ongoing effect is no longer an ongoing effect, even though it kind of feels like an ongoing effect.
Even though it is an ongoing effect. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Number 3. Now, this one should come to no surprise. This card has been nerfed like 15 times, buffed a couple times too. It's been up and down, left and right. But one thing it's always been is red. It's Red Skull. Red Skull has 61.4% win rate, 6.3% of the meta. Now, this is pretty stock Shuri stuff now. Now we're into like, okay, now we're just talking Shuri. And so Red Skull is going to be the top 3 card. Now, just in fairness here, I'm going to round out the top 3 and then we'll discuss them, okay? Because you're going to see a bit of a pattern.
Common
here.
theme. Yeah.
Number 2, I would never have guessed this, is Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary at 61.75% of the meta. And number 1, Cozy, vindicated. We've talked about this card before, how no one is upset about this card. The highest win rate card in Marvel Snap, Sauron, 62%, 5% of the meta. Now, we're going to talk about all 3 together. That's the top 3. But I think you're going to notice there's a bit of a consistent line here. So I'm gonna leave it to you, Cozy. What do you think about Sauron, Typhoid Mary, and Red Skull?
It's like one of the easiest decks to snap when you play Sauron. The Ebony Maw is one of my favorite components of the deck because of it being under the Shang-Chi 1/7 range, right? Being a 7 power card. The fact that it works in your hand and deck, like that's what's so damn good. So draw really doesn't matter. You could play him. You obviously want to play him on 3. He's one of those cards you've got to play on 3 because then you can Shuri, then you can, Red Skull, then you can Tasmat, whatever you're trying to do. But also, like, you don't have to go that route. You can also get a little bit more greedy. I'll say Typhoid is a shock.
Yeah.
Shock she's that high because of the significant con that she comes with. I guess if it's in the deck, though, like, yeah, that does make sense. But yeah, this is a great deck that I think is plenty beatable nowadays. It's plenty beatable, but it's good. It's damn good, and it's fearful. And I think Red Skull, I'm glad he's back where he should be too.
What fascinates me about this is that Shuri got nerfed. People stopped playing Shuri. It completely fell off the map.
Yep.
I remember there were multiple podcasts that you and I were like, yo, like this card is being unbelievably slept on. Like this is a good card. Why is nobody playing Shuri? To the point that I was playing Shuri and I'm like, I don't even feel bad anymore. Like we've told you this card's good. And then sure enough, it started coming back. And now legitimately it has a stranglehold on the top 10.
This is why I said my whole pitch about a 6/4 Goliath. It's the psychological effect of a nerf. Like that's one of the things I think I want to test with him first, because it's like, sure, it was still great. But there's something about when a card gets nerfed that people just stop playing it more. And I think that Goliath maybe needs that aspect to kind of calm him down. But yeah, sure, nothing's changed. In fact, it got better because of Vision. And now Elsa fits in there. So yeah, definitely one of the more straightforward decks to play, the ones that I run against quite often. And if I'm having a huge bad string of games, I will resort to my Shuriness if I need to.
I will resort to it. Fine choice of words there, my friend. The one thing we'll close this little topic on is that Goliath, which is not in the top 10 for those that are interested, is running a 58.9% win rate. But I think what frustrates people right now is that it's 24% of the meta. It has a 24%.
That's insane.
That's high.
That's
really high for a Series 5 card that's not even in the spotlights anymore. So
it's the same Galactus problem, right? Like Galactus' stats were okay if you looked at it, but it was the play rate and the polarizing effect. Listen, when we had, I'm pretty sure on our Snapchat thumbnail I had on mine, it was like, Goliath is coming to be a nightmare and terrorize. Like it wasn't just for the clicks. Like we knew he was gonna bring this. We're a month in now, and I think that's why people are getting a little pissed, and I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that brings us to our next topic, which is going to be our favorite cards in October thus far. Now, October, it's only a couple days. Well, not a couple days. It's a week old. What am I talking? I just looked at my calendar. I'm like, a couple days. But October has been very interesting because you have the release of Elsa Bloodstone. And thankfully, Elsa has shifted the meta up quite a bit, okay? We're no longer in the locks of Loki. We got other stuff going on here. So we're going to talk about our favorite cards early this season thus far. And this is actually one of my favorite conversations to have, especially when the meta shifts, because I don't know about you, but I'm looking at my list and I have not talked about any of these cards in a very long time. So Cozy, I'm going to pass it off to you first. One cost. What's your favorite one cost thus far in October?
Yeah, so it was narrow. It was closer than usual. It hasn't been long enough. Ask me again, it'll be Maria Hill. I actually love the 2-cost generation. Having the ability to grab a collector if you're playing a Loki deck or whatever. There's almost all good. I mean, I've played the Wheel of Snap. There's almost all good 2-costs. A lot of them don't feel bad. You get the Dagger, you get the Bucky Barnes every now and then. But more often than not, she has good value. It's Ghost Spider. I've been talking about her earlier. I'm going to have her as my favorite right now. I'm playing Toxic decks. I'm enjoying what she's bringing. I'm really much enjoying it. And she works with Elsa, which is awesome because you can now have a card that doesn't have the Nightcrawler effect, but you're able to boost it up like a demon or whatever, and then you just whip it on over to the lane that you need to win it with. I'm liking what Ghost Spiders brings to the game, and more often than not, she's a winner for me. So I've got her as a rare favorite card right now.
I cannot get over the fact that I've been roasted in the past for calling out multiple cards at a specific cost, and you just did it again where you just said 2 1-cost.
Barely. It was just a little whisper. Because she just got buffed.
I get to cheat one time then too.
Okay, fair enough.
That's fair. Okay.
I'll allow it. Yeah. What's your 1 cost?
My one cost has been Nightcrawler. Like
Yeah,
Nightcrawler's been so good,
dude's
especially
legit.
with Elsa Bloodstone.
Yep. He was legit for sure, right? And Twitch drop too, which was awesome. Such a
Yeah.
cool variant, yeah.
Yeah, everyone gets this really cool variant. It becomes relevant, shortly after the Twitch drops, and I mean, I just like it. And people aren't playing Killmonger anymore, so I feel like Nightcrawler gets to actually do his thing, and it's been a really nice surprise. And its integration with the Elsa Bloodstone base decks is awesome. Whether it's like the last card to go in to get buffed, which is nice because obviously you have this mobile, 5-power card, or if it's there and you're playing something else into it, like a Kazar. Then you move the Nightcrawler and get to play something else in. Its ability to move, obviously, is extremely valuable here, and it's been my one drop of the month thus far.
Its ability of its ability. Yeah, like it's true. Like I fell in love with him when I brought the Zoo deck to the Snapchat that one time, and I was like, oh, playing him with Pro X felt awesome. With only 2 power at that time, I was like, oh, I love that I can like cap off my X lane a little more. Now, like the 1/5 is preposterous. And again, it's the time because Killmonger, he's sleeping, I guess. Yeah, he's not out there nearly as much because people want to play their own 1-cost cards, right? And that's why I would say. So good pick there. Definitely a hot pick right now. 2-cost cards, Alex. 2 costs, always the toughest, right? There's so many to pick from. This one was really tough. I mean, obviously, like Mojo's. And you know what? No, I'm not gonna go into my spiel. You're gonna give me crap. I'll just go right to the card. It's Shadow King still. I didn't mention him last time. Shadow King right now. It's like if you're not playing Shadow King in your list, you're missing out on a card that counters everything right now. Shuri, bounce decks, Elsa decks, Kitty, destroy. You name it. Shadow King kills it. He's the card.
Shadow King has been a remarkable tech card. I still feel like people don't respect Shadow King as they should. So it's often a surprise on turn 6, which it really shouldn't be. Shadow King is Series 3. It's out there. It's a two drop now. It's like, it should be prevalent, right? I love that call. This is where I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give a special honorable mention here to Falcon. Finally, Falcon's felt good with the Elsa Bloodstone stuff. Falcon has been a card that I feel like has seen almost no play. And so I have felt really kind of confident playing Falcon lately, especially in conjunction with cards that are getting buffed by Elsa Bloodstone. But my number 2, you're going to be like, Alex, seriously? It's an even bigger cheat. It's Elsa. I had to add Elsa. Like, I've actually loved this card. I know it's a bit of a cop-out here to say, like, hey, the Season Pass card's been my favorite 2-drop in this past week where it was released. But seriously, like, I've really liked Elsa. I think it's a really good balance between an effective card and a fun card that has made Marvel Snap better across the board. And even if like you're a pool 1 player and you just bought the Season Pass for the first time, it works well in like pool 1 Zoo decks because of Nightcrawler and Kazar and all those other, like it's kind of like indiscriminate of your collection level to some degree. Obviously very like nuanced decks are gonna have cards you might not have, but I think that everyone can make Elsa Bloodstone work.
It's been the first time I'm like really excited for the Season Pass variant too. I'm like, oh, I can't believe we get that one for free. It's so sick. It's such a good looking variant. 3 cost. Alex, listen, I tried to diversify in this one. I was looking around. I was like, I like so many at the moment. I mean, Green Goblin, I just talked about him. I could probably pick him. Dude, I'm doing it. It's like, I hate repeating. I'm doing it. I have to tell. It's Jean Grey.
Guy.
Jean Grey, I stick by her, man. Why do I stick by her? Because finally she's getting some respect. But God, man, with Elsa, honestly, it's just like, you are trying to accomplish something with Elsa, and Jean Grey's now adding to that, and you already have the cards that she synergizes with Nightcrawler and Jeff. I'm good. I've been the fan since number 1, or since the very beginning, and I'm going to stand by it. Still love her. She's in all my decks.
Still a chance that Man-Thing's good with her, by the way. Still a chance that there's something there. I have some bad news for you, Cozy. Some real bad news. I don't think Jean Grey's ever going to love you back the way you love her, unfortunately.
No.
I don't think can we really add Cozy Smap to the Jean Grey love triangle of Wolverine and Cyclops? Do you really compete there?
Not with those two. Hell no. You can. I could put my hair. I could look like one of them, but yeah, no. I don't know if I'd want to be a part of that fest, but I do love her. I love her on the side. I can't tell Arrow. But she's up there in my love. Elsa too. Man, I'm starting to stack up the waifus.
I love her on the side. Might be the most ridiculous comment you've ever made on the Snapchat.
Probably. What's your 3?
I actually can't believe you didn't pick my 3-drop. I thought for sure you're gonna pick the same one. Like, what if you didn't pick Jean Grey? What would you have picked?
Dude, they're so.
Because it's mine.
What is it? Is it?
You've talked about her like 4 times already this
I was gonna-
podcast. Come on, she's a 3-2.
Oh, she's a 3-2. What magic?
Think of like I don't know, like Taylor Swift.
I know, of course, dude.
Dazzler.
Yeah, I love
I
Dazzler.
can't believe you didn't say Dazzler.
Oh, I love her. She's not my favorite card this season, but like I finally get to play. Dude, it felt so good. Again, love the guy. Binks had me on his stream, and Binks has crapped on me about Dazzler and Love and Dazzler for months. I mean, there's 10 videos about it. And you know what? I used her against him, and it felt great. It felt glorious because you can play her now because you have multiple. You finally have like multi-synergy working together with Dazzler. Is that why you picked her?
No, it's just simply because like it works so well in the Bloodstone based decks.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like Zoo is back to some degree with Bloodstone, and so like I think part of it's listen. This is a personal list. I have not had a chance to play Dazzler that much. There was that moment where like in Silver Surfer, like there was some chance that she was good, but now she's good. Like I don't care what people say. Dazzler is legit. Like I'm not sitting at 3-2 Dazzlers. Like Dazzler is getting bigger than would be expected, with very little downside.
Yeah.
Pretty reliably. The only thing that's messed me up on occasion has been Spider-Man. Spider-Man has sometimes split up boards, which I did not expect. But that's what Spider-Man does. But Dazzler as a whole has been a really pleasant surprise this first week of October, and it's my number 3. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I love any card that you can boost power later is what I love about her. Like I love putting her in a lane and then you could boost. Like I had, again, why I have her in that Surfer deck that I was losing my mind about is because you can Gene and then Dazzler and you're like, oh no, you filled your lane. But you can boost up the Dazzler and you can Surfer. So it's like a double boost to said lane. Love it, buddy. Forecast card is by far, this is a forecast card I have never picked ever while doing this. And it's for the deck style that she brings. Moon Girl is my forecast card of the month. Double up decks, double Elsa is cracked. If you haven't played it, give it a shot. I love it to death. I've played it so much. Sandman, obviously hard counter. But having anything that's in that deck multiple times, I'll take it. I'll take double Nightcrawlers. I'll take double Jeffs, double Elsa. Having +6, you can play it so late, it doesn't matter. Having +6, dude, on your Kitty Pryde, on your Jeff Nightcrawlers is busted. And it's by far my favorite interaction.
How dare you flex this amazing variant?
Oh,
This
I know.
golden Moon Girl, golden border, red Kirby Crackle, just perfect with the dinosaur in the background. I'm actually insulted at how good this variant is. It even matches our like display on the screen too. Like this is like beautiful. I'm in shock.
It was one of those. I was like, I was sad that it was Moon Girl of all variants, and then I was like, dude, I play her enough, so it makes sense. What is your forecast?
Okay, you talked about picking a card that you've never picked before. I'm gonna hit you with something that's absolutely you would never have guessed in a million years. And I've been playing. So when I'm just chilling, I'm playing C5 right now, which sounds dumb, but I've been enjoying C5, and it's Staggy. Yes, Stagron. Listen, nobody in their right mind expects me to play Stagron. Nobody. Turn 6, playing Staggy feels so good sometimes. You just they're like, what just happened? Like, it is so fun to play. I've been really enjoying Stagron. Like, I know like it's this kind of silly, but it's like I've actually been having fun. Forecast sometimes feels weird for these like favorites because like it's kind of like weirdly niche, but I don't care, man. I've enjoyed Stagron so much, and I just hope more people will be able to get their hands on him soon because I think he's maybe, I don't want to say he's good. I don't know if he's good. I think he's good because he's never expected. If he's in more players' hands and the effect might be more anticipated, I don't think he's as good. But I've been having a hell of a lot of fun with him.
Make him a 3-cost second hitter. Do it. I would love it. 5-cost is kind of more difficult as well, right? I think we can always struggle in the 5-cost zone. I'm just kidding. It's not Sandman.
What a guy.
Dude, almost. I almost thought about it. No, dude, it's got to be Spider-Woman. I was talking about her.
Same here, buddy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Tell me.
Same here, Spider-Woman.
Tell me why.
First of all, it's a card that didn't see much play. And so anytime I get a chance to play with cards that have not been seeing much action, like I feel rejuvenated a little bit. It's fun again. Like you forget about these cards that like you might have been playing traditionally. And honestly, it's just, she's good. She's just good. And like, it's like what you said prior, the idea of like a 5/8 with upside, it never really steers you wrong. Luke Cage is prevalent. That's always going to be a factor. Every card has the counter. But honestly, like she just feels really good. And I think the number of decks that she's being applied to is increasing, which is nice to see. And over the next 2 months, I think she's going to gain in prevalence thanks to the increase of toxic synergistic cards.
Yeah, without question, dude. Love her. I mean, we broke her down so much on my side. 6 cost, kind of like, I don't feel good about picking any 6 cost cards. Like, I'll be
Oh
honest.
my god, that's exactly what I wrote. I wrote none.
You
I wrote none.
Like, they're all good. Doctor Doom, Alioth, right? It's like, yeah, we've talked about these so much, and they haven't changed all that much. Like, arguably, Spectrum on going decks with Mobius now is actually becoming a thing that's decent. So I was going to give my shout out to that. I don't think we talked about this on the cards I won buff. Make her 6/6. I think is perfect for what she does.
Yeah.
But this is it. This is the only new one that I'm playing. Like, She-Hulk I want to love right now, but damn, does Mobius just like, I'm playing these double up decks,
yeah.
right? And I'm trying, and honestly, you could put her in the double up deck and she still works because, like, they're not always going to play Mobius. But it's like, damn, like, you know, she dies with him. So, you know, just a shout out to that. But yeah, Spectrum would be my 6 guy. I love that we felt the same here, though.
Yeah, like I wrote none, but I had a fallback, and my fallback was Doctor Doom just because I like playing it. But even like Magneto has felt weird because of the amount of board filling that's happening. Like the board states is like extremely constrictive, so you can't actually disrupt that often with Magneto in my experience thus far. Because like it's like, oh, they filled the location, Mysterio just came down, nothing's actually moving, and it made me realize just how impactful the on reveal effect of Magneto was. Earlier, Alex would have said the 12 power was enough and that the movement of the cards was kind of just a bonus or whatever, but the last couple weeks has really illustrated to me that, like, no, like the effect of Magneto was extremely important, because now that the board states are more full, he's not having the impact he used to have.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, honestly, the guy in the middle here, Man-Thing, Magneto might be a decent way to move him into a lane that doesn't help him. But yeah, the boards are too full is flat out, right? He's not even being played in ramp at the moment. Alioth would just kill him anyway. So yeah, always good to do the favorites, and maybe we'll do it at the end of the season since it's a long one and we can kind of circle back.
Yeah, I like the idea of like doing like kind of like an early impressions one, then like a closer. It's just a fun conversation. It's and I think that's what the Snapchat's all about at the end of the day. Having fun with my boy Cozy, who, if you've not watched his video yet, it's right here in the middle of the screen. Definitely go check it out. I want to say also thank you so much, everybody, for the support that you give both Cozy and I on our content. It is truly heartwarming and remarkable. If you haven't watched Cozy's yet, click it right there, and we'll see you on that next Marvel Snapchat episode.